Hello and welcome to Your Property Empire. I'm Chris Gray. A few months ago we showed the funny adverts with Arnold Schwarzenegger on realestate.com.au and while he was searching for a home to live in Australia. Now, last week he was in Australia speaking to a whole crowd of real estate agents. So, is he looking to move here permanently or is there something else going on? Now, joining me tonight to give their opinions on our stories is Tom Panos, Head of Real Estate Advertising at News Corp, and real estate agent coach Glenn Twiddle. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us on, mate.
Now, Glenn, you're the one that brought Arnie to Australia. I guess maybe tell us a bit about kind of what you do for a business and why do you want to bring Arnie over here?
Yeah, well, I was sitting in a seminar, like the ones I run, and one of the speakers said, what goal would you set if you couldn't fail? So I went along with the exercise, very much doubting it, but I wrote down, have Arnold Schwarzenegger headline one of my coaching seminars, you know. But in the back of my head, I was thinking, no chance, right? No way. I'll just do the exercise. But then I took some action and made some calls and did some... And next thing you know, no turned to maybe turned to probably not, and probably not turned to probably, and next thing you know, a signature came through and it's on.
But that's the thing, it's all about setting a goal, isn't it? Whatever your goal is, whether it's real estate or coaching, and just trying to get it out there.
Well, I still couldn't believe it. You know, one of the first things I've learned from that is don't say no to yourself. That little voice in your head that says you cannot get the most famous person in the world, no matter how much you've idolised him since you were a kid, you can't get him to come and work with you. But, you know, that little voice, who says you can't? Other people can. Other people can pay him to be in movies and all that stuff. So why not a little bloke from Ipswich? And, you know, next thing you know, he said yes, and we had a great time.
And Tom Panos, you're on stage with him as well. It's like Arnie must have been wrapped.
Well, I spoke at the same conference. I wasn't on the stage at the same time. I spoke on the first day, and yeah, look, there was a lot of interest there in Arnold Schwarzenegger. A lot of people don't realise, and you'll be able to confirm that, he's actually an astute property investor, and he actually, many years ago, Chris, actually built a very multi-million-dollar property empire in his early days of his career. So there was that connection to the real estate industry, apart from the fact that he's high profile and about success and motivation.
And you've got a signed copy of his book, which is as big as him. That's the biggest book I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I'm convinced that this book, really the secret behind it is actually to lift it up. It's the biggest book I've ever seen. So that's a secret. You know, you've got to buy it, and if you lift it up enough times, you'll actually get a bicep as big as his. But my personal trainer, Trent, at my gym, he sent me an errand and he said, you've got to get that book signed. So I want to thank Glenn for getting that book signed for Arnold Schwarzenegger, by Arnold.
Perfect, sounds good. So tell us a bit more about what was he actually speaking about. So it's mainly real estate agents that went, or other property people as well?
Well, of course, primarily it was agents. And the first thing he did say is he talked about what Tom just said, that the reason you never saw Arnold in bit parts as an extra is because he never took small roles in order to pay the bills, because he'd already built millions in property investing. Every cent he earned in the bodybuilding early days and seminars and things that he did, he would pump into property. And so that's why the first big role you see, Conan the Barbarian, the Terminator, as the leading man, when Hollywood said he was an unmarketable commodity, he just kept holding out until he got leading man roles. So, yeah, he was a real estate beast that owns half of Santa Monica, because he just, really was an astute property investor.
And that's a good thing for the viewers to pick up on, because it does give you choices. Is once you build that, and I pretty much did the same, probably not to Arnold standards, but again, is once you've got the real estate, you're suddenly not worrying about money, and then you can actually choose what you want to do with your life rather than being forced to take that job that you don't really want.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it seems even to this day, Arnold does warn, I suppose, that when he was doing this, pumping it in the 80s, he does warn that the investment strategies that he used, which is just buy everything, multi-unit complexes, so he'd buy a little six-pack, get rent on 5 and use that to pay off his own rent on the 6th so he could live rent-free, then parlay that into a 27-pack and then into a 50-pack. So he just bought as much as he could. The inflation rates in those days allowed him to get away with anything. And he does warn that his strategy then may not be the best strategy now, but he still is heavily invested in property because it's so good.
And what were some of the other things he was teaching the agents? Because I guess a lot of the reason for getting him on is he's someone that's achieving goals.
Yeah, well, in his life, I mean, a lot of people ask me, why a bodybuilder Arnold, you know, Schwarzenegger? But the thing is, when you think about it, he's been the top of the world, best ever, in 3 separate and relatively independent fields, in, you know, bodybuilding and in Hollywood superstardom and in politics, you know. constitutionally, he can't be president, so the only other thing he can be is governor. That's the highest rank he can have. And so he says that he based that success on 6 kind of principles. You know, things like having a vision, not breaking some rules, not breaking the law, but breaking the rules, not having a plan B, like going all in, don't listen to naysayers, of which we all have, but my favourite of his is work your... Well, he doesn't say the word but let's just say work your butt off. He says there is no substitute for hard work. So it was just fantastic to hear those principles that he applied to all of the areas of his career and how he parlayed that into the most successful brand that's spanned 30 years at the top of his game.
And again, I'm a massive fan of all these seminars anyway, no matter what it is, whether it's wealth creation or property or weight loss or whatever else, is the only way you're going to move ahead in this world is to get educated, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I dedicated my life to doing that, because I, like yourself, Chris, I'd sit in those seminars for 5,000, I added it up not so long back, 5,500 hours. I've been listening to someone like yourself, someone like Tom, and educating myself. And I figure some of it had to rub off, but I really got more of a kick out of me helping someone else go and kill it for themselves than I did for doing it for me. But it's the old Zig Ziglar thing. You know, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want. And I've had a blessed life living by that principle.
And Tom, you spend your whole life kind of out speaking with the agents as well. Are you finding that the top agents are the ones that go to the seminars? If you get that education, will you become a better performer?
I think so, but I think education now is available in lots of forms of mediums. So you've got the traditional seminar where there's a teacher, a speaker, a presenter, but we're also seeing new technologies. We're seeing podcasts, we're seeing video blogs, we're seeing people are able to use their car as a university on wheels. And this works really well with real estate agents, because real estate agents work traditionally in a car with a mobile phone, so they can actually do a lot of their learning by audio and listening. I think it's important, Chris. I think real estate agents can go from the heights of exhilaration to the depths of depression in 24 hours, and having a good attitude and, you know, being strong on personal development helps you with those setbacks, because it is a challenging business.
And look, I even learned from the companies like Amway. A lot of people have heard Amway in negative connotations, but one of the great things about Amway is they educate all the young people coming through. And again, they have the old cassette tapes, and I'm sure they've moved to CDs now or DVDs or something like that. But again, you've got all that wealth of information, and it's all the old Robert Kiyosaki kind of stuff. So,
absolutely.
What's interesting is, I used to recruit Amway people into my real estate business. I mean, because the one part that Amway got absolutely right was that professional development side of things. You know, and some of those first books I read that got me into this stuff, I used to scoff at. You know, when my business coach gave me a copy of Think and Grow Rich and Personality Plus and The Magic of Thinking Big, I rolled my eyes thinking, come on, this is what Amway people read. But after I started reading them, I thought, well, there's something in this. And look, I've got to say, I got hooked. But now, if ever, like Tom's saying, if ever I'm in the depths of depression, I go to my mate Hilton D. Gold and I just get him to tell me to steal up, and I'm on.
Sounds good. Now, we better jump to you, Tom. Let's see what properties we got this week.
Okay, so let's move on. Property number 1 comes to us from Hamilton in Queensland, and it's Matt Lancashire. And you know Matt's, I think, the #1 selling principal for Ray White in Queensland. I was with him last Friday at his office. Geez, he runs a good operation. And this property is right next door to Lorna Jane, the actual Lorna Jane. Lorna Jane paid $10.3 million for the house next door in 2010. This property here is one of only 2 riverfronts in Hamilton, along the river there. We're talking about a property that's got good access to the CBD. Arguably the best part of Brisbane is this property, 1,034 square metres of land. It's an award-winning home. The architect, who's quite famous now by the name of, I think, Sam or Sean Lockyer, same name as a footballer but no relation. He's so good that now he's doing stuff in Sydney, but apparently in Brisbane he is a big brand name, and this is a quality property, and they are expecting that this will go for more than what Lorna Jane paid. She paid 10.3 in 2010. This will fetch more than that.
Pictures look absolutely fantastic, and there's a wine cellar there, Tom, so probably suits someone like yourself.
Well, Chris,
snip at 10 million, that should be reasonably easy, shouldn't it?
Chris, on that subject, have you been drinking lately, or are you still on your detox?
No, I did 26 days in February.
26 days. That's an outstanding effort. I think But
And I've been sober for the last 26 hours just in case for this show, so it's all good.
all right.
What have we got for property number 2?
Property number 2 is, I know a client that you actually, a real estate agent, and he's a client of News Corp, Chris Volpatti, and I know that you deal with him.
Yep, one of the best agents in the eastern suburbs, Mr. Volpatti.
He's going to love hearing that. This property here, I like it because it's ground floor. It's ideal for young families. It's ideal for people that don't want stairs. It's very close to the beach. It's a really desirable location, small block of 15. It's got a price guide of above $900,000. You know where this property is, Chris. This is only minutes to the beach in a blue chip location. This is going to get interest because a lot of people, whether you've got kids or you're a family, a lot of people want a ground floor, and this is going to appeal to people that maybe can't afford a semi. They'll go for something like this.
Yeah, and look, we've probably bought 5 or 10 properties in that street. I've lived 200 metres around the corner, so definitely a fantastic suburb there, very good street. Yeah, sounds good. So, and what was the price guide on that one?
That one is above $900,000 and it's going to auction, and it's got a rental guide of $740 to $790 per week. Security building, and it's actually walking to Coogee Beach as well. I mean,
yeah,
it says
it's right in between 2 beaches, so absolutely perfect there. And that's the thing, is we're getting to the stage of pretty much the $1 million 2-bedder in Sydney, aren't we?
Yeah, well, I think, Chris, what we're seeing in Sydney now, and I've been to Perth, I've just come from Perth, I've been to Brisbane, I've been all over the place, and I'm telling people what's happening with Sydney prices, where I mean, blocks of units. Last night there was a number of blocks of units that went up for auction in the inner west, which you were aware of. You know, a block of 4 in Summer Hill got 2.5 million, unlivable. So they're selling at around 600-700 a piece there. Another block of units, a block of 15, sold for nearly 4 million. Prices in Sydney have got to levels where I think a lot of people are saying, I'm going to stay out of the market because we're worried that it's going up too high.
But I think they're mad on, for a lot of the medium-priced properties, like the 2-bedders for 800-900, I don't think the prices are ever going to come down. So it's a very dangerous game to stay out the market. Certainly at 2 or 3 million, it's a different game, it's more volatile. But I think at those 2-bedroom units, then I don't think it's going to change.
I think you're right, Chris, because I think for a price to go down, it's going to mean an owner is going to sell the property. Otherwise, the transaction won't happen. I can't see their owners selling properties for a lot lower than what they're going to pay for.
Yeah, so certainly a dangerous game staying out the market, but look, who knows? We could be proved wrong. Anyway, after the break, our thoughts on a home hunting hurdle. You're watching Your Property Empire.